So there is a special election next week in the state of California. And this is on a new map that redistricts the state in a manner which favors the Democrats. The blue camp, which currently is at the helm of affairs in California, made this move in response to the Republican Party redistricting Texas. Now, California's Governor Gavin Newsom introduced the new map, which the state lawmakers approved during a vote in the month of August. The proposed map flips 5 Republican-held seats in the House of Representatives in the favor of Democrats. The public vote on this redrawn congressional map is the Proposition 50. Now, the citizens will vote on the ballot measure in less than a span of a week, and the latest polls say that more than half of the likely voters favor this proposition, as the Democrats here have the numbers. The polls say that 56% of the likely California voters favor the newly redistricted map. On the other hand, 43% of the Californian voters are against it. The partisan differences are very clear. According to the poll, 84% of the Democrats are in support of the ballot measure for California's new congressional map. On the other hand, 89% of the Republicans say that they will vote against the proposed map, and the outcome lies largely in the hands of the independent voters. Now, according to the poll, 55% of the independent voters are also leaning towards the Democrats' proposition. Now, in rural California, there is concern amongst critics of the new map merging farming regions with more urban areas of the state. The farmers fear losing their voice and the rural local representation.
But Prop 50, it carves up rural counties like ours, forcing us into oversized districts mashed together with booming urban and suburban areas hundreds of miles away. Suddenly, MODOC's priorities, water rights, wildfire resilience, family farms, get drowned out by the sheer numbers of distant cities. Worse, these sprawling districts make it nearly impossible for rural folks to connect with their representatives.
Now, California took this step to redistrict the state in response to the Republicans doing the same for Texas. The move by the Trump administration caused a bit of an uproar, primarily because redistricting a state happens once in a decade after the U.S. Census. But the mid-decade move by the Republicans has drawn a lot of ire and retaliation from the Democrats. The timing of this move is also interesting, as it comes just months before the midterm congressional elections, which will determine Trump's stronghold in the Senate and the House of Representatives. So as things stand in the House of Representatives, the Republicans have a slim majority with 219 seats. The Democrats are not far behind with 213 seats, while 3 seats are vacant. In the Senate, the Republicans have 53 seats, while the Democrats have about 47 seats. This includes 2 independent senators who caucus with the Democrats. And we're also joined on the broadcast by our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us all the way from New York with more details on this story. This is an interesting sort of election, isn't it, Susan? They say everything is fair in love, war, and probably politics. This also includes redrawing maps so that it gives an advantage to a political party. Gives a sense of what's happening with Proposition 50, why it is controversial, and what is its impact on the larger American politics.
Yeah, Mohammed, as you mentioned, this, they say, is in response to Texas's attempt to redraw its districting maps. Of course, it gives more representation to the party in power. In California's case, it would be the Democrats who would pick up more seats. California already has many Democrat seats in Congress. But what they want to do in California is usually every 10 years, an independent committee draws these maps or redraws the maps. But now they want to shift it temporarily back to the legislator so the legislation can go through and the legislator can redraw these maps. Critics argue that this is partisan gerrymandering. There's also concern, despite it being very popular, apparently, according to latest polls, what does the word temporary mean? Because Californians already voted on a proposition a few years ago. They preferred their redrawing and redistricting issues to be handled by an independent commission. So when you say it's temporary, it's going to come back to the legislation so they can just redraw these maps really quickly, then how realistic is it for it to, again, go back to that independent commission? So these are the questions at hand, but nonetheless, as you mentioned, those independent voters are very important in this election. It seems like they're moving left to this. They seem to want this to happen.
Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Susan Tarani, for joining us and getting us those details there. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.